Alright, so CPR, also known as cardiopulmonary respiration, is a technique that will pump the heart up again. CPR saves over 100,000 lives each year. Only 56% of the population knows how to do CPR. If more of us knew how to do CPR, thousands of more lives would be saved. Therefore, I would like to demonstrate to you how to do CPR, including the technique, the changes over the years, and the differences between infant, child, and adult. Starting with the technique. We have this mannequin over here. He's our CPR dummy. And anyway, so he just got the mouth and the body. So what we're going to do is you're going to place the heel of your hand on his sternum. The sternum is the chest bone. Below the sternum is a small triangular bone. You don't want to hit that because if you do, it can be pushed down into the heart or into the lung. If that happens, you're going to puncture the lung and you won't be able to breathe well. So placing the heel of the hand on the sternum, you're going to push this down and you're going to have this hand over it. So then you're going to go shoulder width apart, standing over the patient, and just going to push down once. So when you do this, you want to have a full compression, letting it go down and come up completely. So for an adult, you want to do 30 compressions in 2 breaths. So I'll show you one round of compressions. You start and you count really quick. You have to do 100 compressions per minute. So here's one round. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10 and 11 and 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So that was one round of compressions. On an adult, you need to go down 2 inches. On this dummy, if you go down far enough, you'll hear a click. That means you've gone down far enough. When you're doing CPR, what you're doing is manually pumping the heart. So when you push down, the blood in the heart pumps out. Then when you let up, it fills up again. So you're manually letting the blood go out throughout the body. So secondly, changes over the years. The CPR technique changes every 4 years. They do this just based on what they think works best. It's done by the CPR administration. Currently, you do 30 compressions and 2 breaths for an adult. Previously, it was 15 compressions and 2 breaths. So when you do this, the 15 compressions, you're pumping more blood and then they get more oxygen per compression, but they change it every year. So lastly, with the differences between adult, infant, and child. So with an adult, as I said, you have to do 30 compressions and 2 breaths. With a child, it changes to 15 compressions and 2 breaths. So, and then with an infant, it changes completely. With the child, you still do the same method of putting the heel of your hand on his sternum and pushing down. But with with an infant, he's much more like he can be like if you put too much pressure, it'll hurt him. So what you do is you place only 2 fingers on his sternum and you lightly push down, just very lightly. This is obviously an adult, but if we had an infant, just push down lightly. And then after you do the 30 compressions, you have to check for breathing. To do this, first you have to tilt his head back. You open up his mouth and check if there's anything in there. Because if there is something blocking it, then he won't be able to get the breath that you're doing. So you have to tilt his head back, look in. Next step, you have to go and sweep. So you just put your finger in and pull out anything that's in there. Next step, you have to give breaths. The first thing that we can use is a CPR pocket resuscitator. So you just open this, pull it out, and you have this thing. So what you do is you have to pop it out, and this is a way to give CPR. This part is where you blow and you place this over the patient's mouth. It creates a seal over his nose and his mouth. It has to cover the nose because if you don't cover the nose, then each breath you give will just continue right up the nose. So I'll show you one breath. When I'm doing this, I need to check to see if his chest is rising. If it's not rising, that means there's something blocking the airway. And if you notice, when I was giving the breath, I tilted his head back. What this does, it opens up the airway so that each breath I give can go through, and then I can know if there's something blocking him in the airway. The second breathing device that we use is a breathing barrier. So this is just essentially does the same as this, but it's just a piece of plastic with a white piece of tape that you can breathe through. So again, you just place this over his mouth and you have to close the nose. With this device, it covered the nose, so it was sealed. But since this one doesn't seal it, you have to manually close it. So then you just go, close, tilt back, and give 2 breaths. Within each breath, you have to count for 5 seconds. So after I give the first breath, I'm counting in my head 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, and then I give the breath. So that's how you do it. So therefore, CPR is a life-saving technique. If we all knew how to do CPR, thousands and thousands of people could be saved from cardiac arrest. So therefore, I hope I have demonstrated to you how to administer CPR, including the technique, the changes over the years, and the differences between child, pediatric, and infant. Now you guys can go and save lives.